Let's talk about how I approach layout in my journals. I did dedicate my handle/username to it after all, so it's only fitting. This video will cover the basics, and you don't need to be a designer or even creative to get going. Layout is methodical and anyone can do it. So the first step is to consider your page a structure or a building. And the things you put on your page are the building blocks. Every building block you use will affect how the structure stands. And every building block represents the things you put in your journal, like handwriting, stickers, photos, washi tape, drawings, etc. I have visual guides here to demonstrate the concepts of layout, so I'm going to be using these cutouts to visualize this building block metaphor. Okay, so for this journal, I'm considering this square as my building, my structure. And if you put all your building blocks on one side, you're going to have a lopsided building, or the building is going to topple altogether. There's all of this empty space that isn't supporting the weight of the structure. The key is balance to keep this structure standing. For example, here we have a perfectly balanced structure. It's also perfectly symmetrical. These two are exactly the same cutouts. So in the specific example of journaling, you could put an image as this size, and then you can put your handwriting in this whole section here. So it's just image and writing, and that would be a perfectly balanced and symmetrical layout. You could also go for something asymmetrical, like this. So these two blocks aren't exactly the same, but they hold the same weight. And so think maybe one large image here and two different paragraphs of writing, or a big handwriting block here, and this is an image and this is more handwriting. So you're kind of splitting it up into thirds. And the layout is still very balanced here. You can break it down even further. Instead of having this big block here, you could do 4 blocks. Again, holding the same weight, but now you have 4 identical pieces. These shapes are very basic, I know, and you're probably thinking, well, that's a boring layout. But these simple blocks can be broken down in such a way that you make interesting patterns from very basic shapes. For example, to make this one more interesting, you could cut out a square. Let me show you what I mean. Instead of that, by cutting out a little corner of each square, you now have another square or rectangle in this negative shape. So there are ways to make a layout interesting even with basic shapes and basic structure. Design rules are made to be broken. Don't feel confined by this structure mindset, because you can break structure. In fact, let's go back to these 4. If done intentionally, it's a really powerful way to guide the eye to that spot. For example, this would be a break in structure. You see how all of these are straight and even, and then tilting this one? That is a break in structure. And immediately your eye goes to look at this one, and the eyes will first look at anomalies or the thing that's breaking your structure. So if you want to draw attention to something in your layout, break your structure a little bit, but the whole thing still feels balanced. It's just now you have your attention drawn to a specific spot. Or you can upend your structure altogether and just, randomly do something. That is breaking your structure entirely. Break the rules, but if you don't know where to start, your basic building blocks are your best bet. When you think of the elements you're putting down on the page, think of the balance of the whole page. Or if there is an imbalance, make sure you're doing it intentionally. Now let's play with some different layouts. So, some ideas for layouts here. Here's a layout idea. Again, maybe this is a large piece of washi tape, and maybe this is your handwriting, maybe this is an image. Or maybe you do something like this. A very tall but skinny image here. And then if you have a lot to say that day, this would be all handwriting. And you don't have to do it up and down either. You can do it horizontally, like this. So breaking it up into sections. and not doing it half and half, but rather like thirds. The rule of thirds is also a really great concept for composition and layout. I could make a video that is hours long going over the specifics of layout, but this is just the very basic idea of it to get your mind going on the possibilities of layout in your journal. And if you don't want it to do the whole page, you can do very asymmetrical things. Like what if you just did an image here and then you did your handwriting here? That still feels balanced. You can try different things. Let's see. What about something? You can do overlapping things. The possibilities are endless. Let me show you some previous spreads so you can see the breakdown of my layouts. Here's an example. Okay, so this one was a tall, skinny image, left side here. This one, I have a little image up here, so maybe that would be this. And I don't have a cutout exactly that size, but something like that. So that would be this layout structure here. I could have removed that sticker here and just did something like that. And you see how I rotated this sticker here? I broke my structure to bring attention to this. So most likely when you looked at the spread, this was probably the first thing you saw on this spread. Or it could have been this because of the color of it. So yeah, that's the structure for this one. Slightly broke my structure to bring attention to that sticker. So this one here also fits the same layout, slight rotation, rectangle, but you see how different they are and how they look? Even if you were using the same structure, it can feel different from page to page depending on the content of it. This one I have lots of little rectangles. This one, let's see, I'd say that is this, probably this, and this. This is how I would classify this one structure. So I have big drawing here, little drawing here, and then my text here. You'll probably notice this now in my layouts that they usually follow some type of structure. And I don't really plan these out ahead of time either. I'm just kind of doing it on the fly depending on the stickers that I have or how much writing I want to do. I play with the pieces like a puzzle. I always say that about journaling, is that it's putting together puzzle pieces. That's really what creative journaling is. Oh, here's another one. I don't think I have the right cutouts for this, but kind of that, and that. Alright, this one isn't cut obviously, but that's how I would define this one's structure. And it might even actually be two different pieces here. This would be this, this. I don't have, let's see, this, and maybe that. Okay, so there we go. Here's another structure. Yeah, this is how I think about layout in its most basic form. And also the fun is subtly altering these layouts, drawing interest in certain spots, and also trying a new layout every day. When I go to make a journal entry, I'm thinking, what's something I haven't done recently, or how can I make something that I haven't done before? You might not find enjoyment in the layout part, but as a graphic designer, that's what I enjoy doing, is pushing the bounds of what layout can be and all of the different layouts. I want to discover every single layout possible because the layout possibilities are endless. So if you ever think you're running out of different layout ideas, just cut up pieces of paper and put them on a page and see how you can lay them out differently. And then substitute these pieces of paper with the elements of your journal. Hopefully this made sense, and hopefully this building metaphor was helpful. But yeah, that's how I do my layouts.